Until recent years, the term microbrewery wasn't really a part of the food and beverage landscape. Nowadays, store shelves are filled with craft beers from all over the world, including Nashville. One of the pioneers of the Nashville microbrew movement is a guy named Linus Hall. He left a lucrative day job for the life of a microbrewer, and, well, he's been toasting that decision every day since. Linus Hall was working as an engineer for a tire company back in the mid-90s when he decided to join a Nashville brew club, just for the fun of it. Before long, his homebrewed suds were soaking up rave reviews from fellow members.
So I had enough people saying, hey, your beer's pretty good and your job's pretty boring, so why don't you quit that and start your own brewery? I started doing a lot of research and I realized that I didn't have the business background, so I was like, okay, I better put the brakes on this idea and go back to school. So I went to Vanderbilt for business school, and then I went to a brewing school out in California.
In 2003, Yazoo Brewing opened its doors, first at Marathon Village, then at its present location in the Gulch. It grew quickly to become the city's #1 craft brewery. Yazoo Pale Ale came first, with other brands to follow.
I think we were in the right place at the right time as far as Nashville is concerned. You know, we've kind of been rising right along the chefs-driven restaurant scene here in Nashville. So I think people just were really interested in local products. As long as it was good, they'd get behind it.
However, there were drawbacks to being a pioneer among local brewers.
We'd go into a restaurant and they'd say, well, we already have all 4 kinds of beer. We've got Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Lite, and Heineken for the fancy beer drinkers. And we'd have to convince them that, locally made beer can be even better than that. Dos Perros Amber. It's one of our older ones that we do.
Yazoo produces about 25,000 barrels a year. And no matter what the brew may be, it always involves 4 basic ingredients.
Got some type of grain. It's usually been malted to break down the starches inside of it. Then you've got your hops, which is just one of many herbs people used to put in beer, but they found that hops are a natural preservative as well as making a great beer.
And what would this taste like right now? Pretty bitter?
Well, it's really bitter. Yeah, that's about all you would taste for about a week.
And then you have your water. Water is very important. And then probably the most misunderstood throughout history has been yeast. You couldn't see it until they invented the microscope. But it's the thing that takes the sugars out of the grain and breaks it down into alcohol.
Of course, unlike home brewing, consistency is critical at this level of production.
When you're a homebrewer scale, you can make a great recipe and you're probably going to move on to the next one. But at this scale, you have to make a great beer and then you have to make it over and over again. So it all comes down to just consistency in your process. There's certain points where you're checking a lot of different aspects of the beer and making sure that it's in line with your recipe.
Ensuring consistency requires regular checks of beer samples here in the lab. No irregular bacteria or yeast can be allowed in any batch. However, Yazoo's new Wild and Sour beer is the exception. That's Brandon Jones' department.
Basically, the yeast that would be considered a contamination issue for a clean brewery, that's the yeast and the bacteria that I want to play with, and they're going to produce some incredible characters for me. And you get to build so many fun type beers around that because you do have this whole other playground to get on the toys and have fun with. This one we age in oak, so Saison de Bois, it's Saison in oak or wood. So the barrels that we got, these came from France, and they were 20-year-old barrels. And that's really the cool thing about getting a lot of these barrels. They have so much history inside of them. I think I spend a lot of my time trying to convert people, trying to give them the proper setup. Because if you don't set somebody up for these beers properly in the beginning and give them that, hey, this is gonna have probably a Jolly Rancher, a Granny Smith apple type character to it. It's gonna have a sharpness to it. It goes against everything that they've ever been told beer is.
Yazoo's on-site tap room is open Wednesday through Saturday. The walls are lined with label artwork, which was created by Linus's wife, Lila. It gets busy late in the day, but it's an ideal place to discover what appeals to your palate, such as sweeter or hoppier.
At the time, our pale ale was one of the hoppier beers you could find in Nashville, but there's kind of been a hop nuclear war, I guess you could call it, and see who can make the hoppiest beers, and so it's no longer anywhere considered the hoppiest.
It was a big risk to leave a promising corporate career for the life of a brewmaster. For Linus Hall, it was all about a pursuit of hops and happiness.
Getting ready to come to a boil, kind of cliche, but it's definitely living the dream. I mean, even on the hardest day, being a brewery beats the best days of being a tire engineer for sure.